Good evening, dear VIP guests and all good friends. Welcome to the fourth webinar presented by GASonline. This is Frank Xu, founder and CEO of China IG Member Alliance. Following our third webinar 2 weeks ago, GASonline invited Mr. Roger Saya, Secretary of Middle East Gas Association, to meet and share with our members and international gas delegates on the market status and actions from Middle East countries in the situation of COVID virus. It was a very successful, fruitful discussion. Today, I'm very happy and excited, as all of you. This fourth webinar is designed for a dialogue between the two countries of the largest populations. A dialogue between the two ancient civilizations in the world. We both share lots of similarities in history, culture, religion, and family life concepts of marriages. This is the first dialogue via cloud webinar between two organizations, All Indian Industrial Gases Manufacturers Association and China IG Member Alliance, since COVID-19 crisis. Last week, when we were at the webinar discussion about the global panic concerns on the worsening epidemic situation, today we have good news reporting on the gradual releasing the lockdown and focusing on partially restoring economies over 10 countries like France, Spain, Norway, Germany, Switzerland, and South Africa. Now let's turn back to India and see what the Indian government and AGMA have done in the combat since the outbreak of this COVID-19 virus. More good news with rich data prepared for all of us from our Indian guest ahead. In the case of expanding epidemic crisis with the emergence of new policies, what opportunities and challenges will India's gas market present in the process of changes? In such a challenging situation, what development opportunities would industrial gas players can get involved? Tonight, with anxious care and expectations, our Chinese members and industrial gas players outside China cannot wait to join at this webinar with you, our Indian partner of long-time friendship, Mr. Saket Tiku, President of All Indian Industrial Gases Manufacturers Association. And here, what you can share the updates on your industry and the role of AGMA and the market demand in this critical period of time. Let me call for a warm welcome and say hello to Mr. Saket Tiku from our offline delegates. And also welcome our Chinese member company, Huate Gas, with Mr. Jeffrey Zhang, Deputy GM, and Ms. Kathy Liu to join us. So next, let me brief about the backgrounds of these two VIP speakers. Mr. Saket Tiku is the president of All India Industrial Gases Manufacturers Association, AGMA. His association is the sole national body representing major industrial medical gas manufacturers in India and abroad. AGMA has more than 300 members comprising of almost all the major industrial medicinal gas manufacturers in India and abroad. Mr. Saket Tiku has been appointed as a member of the committee set up by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, to ensure uninterrupted supply of medical oxygen in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Tiku has over 30 years of experience in the field of industrial gases. He is the director of Eastern Gases based in Mumbai, India, The company is engaged into manufacturing and distribution of industrial gases, welding transformers, welding rectifiers, and having factories in and around Mumbai, India. Yes, the next speaker is Ms. Kathy Liu. She started her career in Huate from April 2012 to November 2019, representing the regional manager for Southeast Asia. And starting from November 2019 up to today, she's the deputy manager of International Department of Huate Gas, in charge of international businesses. Tonight, let's welcome our first speaker, Mr. Sake Tiku. Sake, please.
Thank you, Frank. Good evening, everyone. As Frank has introduced me and told you about my today's presentation, and we'll be, rather I'll be talking about the role of my association in fighting this dreadful disease, COVID-19. And please allow me and let me say thank you to Frank again. I did thank him earlier, but let me thank him again and his team for inviting me to be the speaker for today's webinar. Frank, with your permission, I would like to share my screen now. Okay. Now, can you? Okay, fine. So let me. I'm so sorry for this this technical problem. Anyways, AGMA, for those of my friends who are not introduced to AGMA or do not know about AGMA, so this association was established in 1975. 95% of the medical oxygen in India is being manufactured and supplied by the members of AGMA. AGMA, is represented in the standardization committee of Bureau of Indian Standards. We are a part of the expert committee, which is formed by the governments, by various ministries. The rules which are made for the gases, for gas cylinders, for valves, for cryogenic tanks. AGMA is part of an expert committee which is formed by the ministries. There are two departments. One is PESO, which is Petroleum Explosive and Safety Organization, and another is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and which is part of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. In many countries, medical oxygen is part of it comes under Ministry of Health, but in India, it comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Health as well. The reason why it comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry is because the oxygen plants, the manufacturing part, the licensing authority for manufacturing oxygen comes under PESO, Petroleum Explosive Safety Organization, which is part of Ministry of Commerce. Since the licensing authority is PESO, that's the reason we come under Ministry of Commerce. But the companies who are to sell medical oxygen, for selling medical oxygen, you have to take the permission from FDA, Food and Drugs Administration. We also collaborate with the CGA, Compressed Gas Association, with the China IG Member Alliance, which is yours, and IGA. Now, before we go further, let's see. I don't know whether this heat map is visible, or let's see this one. It's around, if you see the left-hand corner, it shows around 3 million people, unfortunately, have been affected so far. 200,000 deaths so far. In India, the confirmed cases are 29,451, and the deaths are 939. And if we go to this screen, you will see the China confirmed cases are 83,918, and the deaths are 4,637. This is as per the Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, who have taken, from their website these details. Then coming down to India, as I said, 29451 are the confirmed cases and 939 is are the deaths. Now, the role of AGMA in wake of COVID-19 is very interesting. As I was talking to John earlier, I do not, to my knowledge, I don't think it has happened in other parts of the world where the government takes the help of a local association. Government decides to make a committee. This is a very, very senior, the officers, the people who form the policies for the country. So this department decided to set up a committee, and AGMA, as a president of AGMA, I was appointed as a member of this committee, and the job, as I said, this is the order, and if you see down there on number 8 is my name. When the government decided how to deal with this, nobody knew about COVID-19. We didn't have much. I mean, none of the countries had much knowledge. Yes, we did take some ideas from, say, China and in Italy and Germany, where it originated and where it spread first. But nobody has had the clue how to deal with it. So the first thing the government did was to make a committee, and I was made the member of this. And the moment I was made the member of this, and then the think tank of AGMA, we sat together and we decided, now how do we tackle the situation and how do we keep India oxygen ready? Because the doctor said for COVID-19 patients, oxygen is very important. It plays an important role because your kind of lungs are burdened more and you need to have oxygen. So the first thing, and India was put under complete lockdown. No one moves. Everybody stays home. All the factories shut. Everybody is staying home. And then all of a sudden the government tells us, hey, listen, you are part of the committee. Let's sit together jointly. Let's come up with the ideas and see how we can, fight with this. So our job was to ensure the adequate availability of medical oxygen. We have to ensure still that uninterrupted supplies of oxygen has to be given to the hospitals. And since the government does not have all the data, so they wanted to know, the first thing they wanted to know, how much oxygen is India producing at the moment with COVID patients, without COVID patients. I mean, how much oxygen is being supplied to the hospital at present. Now, if unfortunately, if the numbers increase, if more number of people are confirmed as COVID-19 positive, then does India have enough oxygen to supply to their hospitals? Then we were told, let's tell us how much are you producing, what are the stocks, and what is the total installed capacity. Then certain numbers were thrown on us. Supposing if X number of people fall sick, do you have enough oxygen to give? Number 2, do we have enough supply chain? Even if the oxygen is there, do you have enough cryogenic tanks? Do you have enough cylinders? Do you have enough prime movers to move this oxygen? So there were a lot of things which the government wanted to know, and we wanted to come up with the data and with the figures. And the first thing what I did as a president was, we approached the government and requested them, allow all the gas manufacturing companies to start their plant immediately. All the manufacturing companies which are manufacturing medical oxygen, immediately they issued an order which is right on the screen, whereby it was told that we should medical oxygen gas manufacturers should be allowed. Then we spoke to the Home Secretary, and he came up with this order. It's not only the medical oxygen gas manufacturers should be allowed, the liquid medical oxygen cylinder manufacturers, cryogenic tank manufacturers, the vaporizers, the packaging industry, everyone should be allowed to start their factories immediately. Transportation of the above items should be, should be arranged and allowed. Cross land border movement of above items should be allowed. please understand, India is a very big country. It's not as big as China, but if you leave China, then we we are not like European, some of the European nation, some of the European countries or any other countries. It's a big country, and and there are so many states. States have their own rules. So, but now the federal government took over, and they issued these orders for all the states to follow. And the workers also, we had to ensure that the workers who are going to the factories, they should get the pass. Please understand, workers as of now, people as of today, are not allowed to go out of their homes. So if somebody is going to his factory, we have to ensure he's allowed by the police, he's allowed by the relevant authorities. Then another thing where AGMA came into the picture, it was in our country, we didn't have any guidelines for cleaning of externally contaminated medical gas cylinders. Well, it is believed that that COVID and this coronavirus, it stays alive on metallic surfaces. We don't know for how long, whether it's for a few hours or for days. Nobody knows exactly. At least I didn't know, or we didn't know. So we thought our workers who go to the factory, who go to the hospitals to bring the empty cylinders back, or to deliver these cylinders, or the hospital staff, or the ward boys, or the nurses who are in close proximity to these cylinders which are lying next to the patient's bed, they should not get this virus, and it will have a cascading effect. A person who's lifting the empty cylinders, once he goes back to his factory, the virus will will carry along with those. So immediately we approached Ministry of Health with our inputs. We made guidelines, and those guidelines were shared with the Ministry of Health, and immediately they approved, and the guidelines were formed, and every hospital was informed. Before we came into the picture, we wanted to know how much oxygen is really needed for how many people. So we found out that 80% of the COVID-19 patients do not require oxygen. They get cured with basic medical facilities. 15% need oxygen, and 5% require the ventilator support. So we had to have some figures on mind in order to come up with a plan. AGMA, immediately we made a team of 51 AGMA volunteers and nodal officers state-wise. And these nodal officers are basically, they themselves are working the companies which are manufacturing medical oxygen. So their job is, in case there is any call from hospitals, from isolation wards, from healthcare centers, their job is to ensure medical oxygen is given to them. If they are not able to give, then they have to speak to someone closer to the location of these hospitals and ensure that person or that hospital gets the oxygen. When we made these nodal officers, again, it is with the support of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Then Government of India also gave us 20 officers state-wise, so the PESO officers. Now the PESO, along with 51 of AGMA, and now recently every state has given us one nodal officer. He's a doctor of the state-run hospitals. So there are around 30 odd doctors from each state, plus 20 PESO officers. Everybody works with 51 of our nodal officers, and we have set up this control center. AGMA has set this control center to have the people who need oxygen. Immediately we came up with this chart where, for example, in Andhra Pradesh, there are so many states in the country. So we want every state in the morning, the nodal officer of the state has to give us how much medical oxygen has been supplied on that day, what is the stock of medical oxygen on that particular day, if any problems faced, everything he has to give. Every day in the morning, these figures come. Then we have also formed a way where every hospital or isolation ward people have to tell us what is the requirement of cylinders, B type and D type. B type is a 10-liter cylinder, D type is a 47-liter water capacity cylinder, around 7 cubic meter and 1.5 cubic meter cylinders. So once we and we have these figures, whenever we feel a certain state has less number of cylinders, they want more number of cylinders, we ensure that they do it. We ensure that they get these cylinders. Then we had, I cannot show it here, but we have made a simulation chart. Now, if you look at this ICU patient and non-ICU patients, how much oxygen in terms of the liter per minute, these figures come from the hospital, that non-ICU patients, the flow of the oxygen is certain, say 7 liters per minute. ICU patients are 12. These are all imaginary figures. I mean, it depends from hospital to hospital. And then if you go further down, for example, if there are 50,000 ICU patients in the hospital and non-ICU is 100,000, then how many cubic meters per day is required? How much oxygen in terms of liquid is available? How much is going to go through the cryogenic tanks? How much liquid will be available through 7 cubic meter cylinders or 1.5 cubic meter cylinders? The moment I change this figure, the 12 and 7, and everything falls into the place, the computer tells us what is the requirement for the day. Then what we did, we started mapping on the Google map all the COVID hospitals, all the hospitals with liquid oxygen tanks, all the oxygen filling stations. So these people can go online and the hospital can find out which is the nearest oxygen filling station or the oxygen, the medical oxygen manufacturer. He can put the, he will know the distance, how far is this filling station. So everything has been made by AGMA, and we have been sharing it with the government in order to do this. So while we were collecting data, compiling this data, what we found that in some of the remote area, even though medical oxygen is available, maybe the supply chain is a far-flung area. We do not know how much time will it take to give oxygen in case of emergency. So we requested the government. There are many industrial oxygen manufacturers in the remote areas of the country. We requested them that you should allow us to manufacture medical oxygen, allow industrial oxygen to, industrial oxygen manufacturers to manufacture oxygen for medical use. When we say allow them for medical use, that means we are not exempted from the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. We are not exempted from Indian Pharmacopoeia 2018. Permissible impurities have to be kept in mind, but permission will be given within 24 hours. And industrial oxygen cylinders also now can be used for medical oxygen. Of course, we have to do the purging and do other things, but now they are also available for the medical oxygen. So what happened with this decision? It was it took us around less than 2 days to get the permission on Zoom. I had a meeting with technical committees. Then my secretaries, my secretary means the secretaries of my committee were convinced. They got the Ministry of Health people online, had a Zoom meeting. All the technical guys came. Then the Honorable Minister came on Zoom. He asked me, is it doable? I said, it's doable. The next day, again, we had a Zoom meeting. Within flat in 2 days, this order came. And what happened? The industrial oxygen stock, which was kept aside for industrial purpose, again was now available for medical use if in case the need arises. So it was a brilliant move. Our friend John also carried this article in his newspaper, in his GASonline magazine, where he said that it's a breakthrough development for many other countries to follow suit. So it was picked up by other countries too, and they did appreciate it. Well, we had to tell, you see, during regular times, when we have proper hospitals, we have medical pipelines there. So we can supply oxygen and we can put up the cryogenic tank, supply through cryogenic tankers. But these makeshift isolation wards and COVID-19 wards, not all of them are having pipelines. They are a makeshift. So the government was emphasizing more on cylinders. So wherever it is possible for a ward to be put adjacent to the existing hospital with proper infrastructure and pipelines, there we are supplying in the liquid oxygen in the tanks. But most of these COVID-19 isolation wards do not have the pipelines, and there we make we are supplying them the cylinders, because when you in case of emergency, war-like situation, you don't have enough time to put the pipelines. So pipelines, liquid cannot be given directly to the patients. So it's easy to have medical oxygen, as a standby thing. Well, we made a lot of buddy programs. As I said, I did speak, about the relationship between the COVID centers and the oxygen supplies. Every day they are in touch with each other. We share their data. We ask them their requirement. At the same time, we also are having a problem now, since there's a lockdown. When we produce medical oxygen or oxygen, there is no way that we can selectively produce only medical oxygen and ignore nitrogen and argon. The moment oxygen comes into production, we take it from the atmosphere. That means when nitrogen comes into production. Now, if there is no consumption or no requirement of nitrogen or industrial oxygen or argon in the market, so what do? So we have to vent nitrogen in the atmosphere. So it's a loss. So people who are running their factories at the moment only for producing medical oxygen are suffering losses. But since it is in the national interest, they are continuing to produce medical oxygen. But at the same time, we approach the government, please come up with some relief or compensation package for those people who are suffering losses, as they are not able to sell nitrogen and other gases, and the raw material is electricity. So we are into losses. But that is something else. That is the thing. What we are, some of the manufacturers have approached the government through us, asking for a compensation for that. But compensation or no compensation, we are going to keep on manufacturing medical oxygen till this problem is sorted out. And then AGMA also played a role where we, with our help, so many medical oxygen companies were open. 50,000 factories, around 500 factories reopened. 50,000 workforce back to serving the nation. So we kind of also helped them with their jobs, and all of them are serving the nation at the moment with the help of the AGMA. And we also have, if you go to our website, you will find so many orders have been issued with the government. We have got the list of medical oxygen manufacturer refillers, suppliers on our website. Nodal officers' name, their phone numbers on the website. Whatever is required has been put on the website. So that is how AGMA, along with the government, both of us together, and let me appreciate and say, we have been always criticizing the government, but this time I sleep only for 3 to 4 hours. When I say I sleep for 3 to 4 hours, these senior secretaries and joint secretaries and the senior people in the Empowered Committee, which also report directly to the Prime Minister of our country, this Empowered Committee, it's a very high-profile committee. When I am sleeping for 3-4 hours, even they are sleeping for 3-4 hours. Very fine. We are blessed. Some of the Indian Administrative Service officers are a blessing to this nation. They're doing a wonderful job at this time. And both of us together, AGMA and the government, are helping and ensuring that uninterrupted supplies of gas is given to the hospitals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakit. I can see, so before this webinar, I've been online coordinating with you. I really, really appreciate your sparing time from such a tight schedule with 3 hours of sleep every day. This is tremendous work with a lot of responsibilities. Appreciate. And thank you for your wonderful sharing of what you and your association have contributed for your country and for the industry. in such a short short time period that you have done so much. Follow the urgent approval and the regulation orders from the government with your contribution, and also the actions taken to coordinate and group all your members to join together, and also your great job in alignment of all your manufacturers for convincing the government to approve that allowing the industrial oxygen to produce the medical oxygen. This is something that, well, is really, really a great job you have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank.
And at this moment, China is, to all of us, to all of you, to say, okay, China is becoming stable. And China has started the resumption of work, and offices, and production nationwide. And there are some experiences worth sharing, whether weak or successful in the combat against this COVID virus. And Huate Gas has made a timely contribution as a good example. So let's hear what our industrial player has done for the hospitals in China. So the next speaker, Miss Kathy Liu from Huate. Let us see what Huate has been responsive with its responsibility. Kathy, please.
Hi everyone. Good evening. This is Casey from Gas. I'm very glad to be here sharing information about our company. Thanks GASonline providing the chance to us. Okay, let's start our presentation. A leader of special gases for semiconductor materials, Gas, stock code is 688268. Our presentation with 4 parts. Part 1. During the recent coronavirus 19 epidemic, FATA has the courage to show the social responsibility. Part 2, about FATCAS. Part 3, FATA's product. Part 4, information sharing. Let's move on the first part. During the recent coronavirus 19 epidemic, FATA has the courage to show the social responsibility. On January 31st, Gas delivered liquid oxygen vaporization pressure regulating equipment and accessories to Foshan Hospital, which fully supports the prevention and control of epidemic situation in Wuhan. On February 10, after receiving urgent requests for assistance from Wuhan Union Hospital, Gas requested to undertake the needs of oxygen supply equipment, dual oxygen cylinders, pipelines, and oxygen supply station project. After consultation, FATA donated the most urgent required oxygen cylinders, including supporting ventilators and oxygen cylinders trolleys to help the Union Hospital to treat patients. Gas guaranteed the supply of disinfection gas products which are necessary for the production of masks and protective clothing to many epidemic prevention and control enterprises. Well, within the epidemic prevention, it is also necessary to win the economic war. Gas has received the Emergency Guarantee Material Transfer Certificate from the Beijing Municipal Bureau of Economic Information Technology. Gas eliminated all difficulties to guarantee the urgent supply demands from silicon, YMTC, SMC. Gas will continue to work together with the whole society to contribute to the victory of the epidemic and the economic development. Part 2, about Gas. Gas as a public company to be listed in the Science and Technology Innovation Board, stock code 688268. Since 1993, Gas is 27 years old now. As you know, our chairman is Mr. Si Pingxiang. We have 12 affiliates in China. There are 880 employees with annual sales around $140 million. We have 4,000 plus customers. There are 4 million cylinders a year to be delivered. Business in 30 plus provinces in China and 15 plus countries and regions worldwide. Facilities in China. You can see our head office in here in Foshan, and which near Guangzhou, about 30 minutes far away from Guangzhou Baiyun Airport. And we have bridge company in Hong Kong, Asia Pacific Gas, and which is responsible for the imports and the exports business. We have the production base Hunan plant and the Jiangxi plant. Of course, safety is first to us. We have comprehensive emergency response system in place. ISO 19001, ISO 14001, OSAS 18001. Here the photos are our production base in Foshan. Filling panel, workplace, pipeline, purification lab, distillation. The factors that make us active in markets. We have the 8 gas filling plants in China. There are 10 depots to supply 30 provinces of China. We have more than 100 sales force in South, East, North, Middle, and West of China. And we also have 200 plus people on packaging gas supply chain management in the service team. We have over 20 years experience for handling the international business. And we believe that there will be more filling plants in future. Experience in logistics, domestic crew record the domestic supply chain in the deliveries from 12 supply centers. 1 in South China, 3 in Middle China, and 1 in North China. But own the transportation team for digit cargoes across China. Imports and exports more than 100 drug containers every month through Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Shanghai, and Qingdao. Most of the containers via Hong Kong. We supply to more than 50 countries and regions worldwide. And we have more than 30 years experience for handling international business. AU certificate can make us shorter the customer clearance time. We have Hong Kong affiliates to support. FATA's products. My boss, Jeffrey, always say that FATA is like a gas supermarket. The reason why he says is because we have more than 100 type of gas products, which are covering 20 gas industry applications. Special gases, fluoride, including C4, C2F6, C2F3, C3F8, C4F6, C4F8, and SF6. Hydride, hydrogen cyanide, german, ultra high purity ammonia, saline, phosphine, debris in the hydride, hydrogen, real gas and real gas mixture, krypton, neon, xenon, and helium, oxide mixtures, oxide and mixture, ethylene oxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, ultra high purity hydrocarbons and mixture, methane, ethane, ethylene, and propane and butane. Industrial gas, including oxygen, nitrogen, argon, liquid ammonia, and LPG. We also have engineering and gas equipment company, which can supply Dura aluminum cylinders in the engineering project. Further manufactured high-purity electronic gases are widely used in LCD panel production lines, 6-inch, 8-inch, and 12-inch semiconductor wafer fabrications. In June 2019, FAT was awarded the top 10 professional electronic chemical materials of China by the China Electronic Material Industry Association. In December 2017, FAT patent, a method of C2F6 purification, was awarded the Chinese Patent Award of Excellence by State Intellectual Property Office of the People's Republic of China. In 2016, FAT's manufacturing high purity C2F3 99.999% in the China Semiconductor Innovative Products and Technology. Here's a table. It's about FAT had awarded the honors from the year 2013 to 2017. Summary. I want to say that we are reliability. Current main products from Fosun plants, DCP plants in Jiangxi. Capacity. Fully licensed operating capacity. Experience. Excellent expertise in fluorocarbon, more than 10 years experience. Process and quality control. Capability of shift-to control requirements. Container treatment. But international service treatments and preservation to improve roughness and particle performance. Level certification. But level expertise to commit the full analysis. They also have ability to undertake the inspection tasks from outside. Technical support, emergency support, information sharing. This information to be gathered by Jeffrey, and it's about Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement, French, Accord de Paris, is an agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, dealing with greenhouse gases emission mitigation, adaptation, and finance starting in the year 2020. On December 12, 2015, 195 countries have signed this agreement. On February 6, 2016, 76 of those 195 countries have ratified this agreement, which accounting 39.9% of global emission. And June announced that the Paris Agreement will be officially effective on November 4, 2016, about Montreal Protocol. On October 15, 2016, more than 150 countries have reached a deal described as monumental to phase out fluorocarbon gases that are making global warming worse. To cut down this fluorocarbon, richer economies like the European Union, US, and others will start to limit the use of fluorocarbon within a few years and make a cut of at least 10% from 2019. Here is the schedule. Year 2018, Japan. Law and regulation will be set up to start decreasing 10% of fluorocarbon production and consumption every year. Replacement is carbon dioxide, ammonia, and hydrocarbons. Year 2019 to 2036. First group of the countries, including US, most of European countries, Korea, ACT sector, start to decrease the fluorocarbon consumption in the production area. Year 2036, remain 15% consumption in the product. Year 2024 to 2047, Second group of countries, more than 100 countries, including China, will freeze the production and capacity and consumption. Year 2047, production and consumption will remain about 20%. Year about 2028 to 2047, from the year 2028, the third group of countries will freeze the production capacity and the consumption. Year 2047, production and consumption will remain about 20%. Here, all the above schedules are related by formal agreements and the law of 195 countries. I had to share the news last year. An American official announced on the Twitter that it began the formal process of withdrawing from the Paris Agreement on November 5, 2019. But due to the destruction of the agreement, the United States will actually start the process of withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement as early as November 3, 2020, when the United States will usher in a new presidential election. Here is a list for the GWP data of fluorocarbons. Yeah, and Japan fluorocarbons makers will focus more on producing low GWP, high unit value products such as C4F6, C5F8. Japan, Korea, and the USA will focus more on supplying their domestic markets in future 2 years. Okay, thanks your time.
Thank you, Cassie, for sharing with offline delegates regarding your efforts in the combat against the COVID-19 virus, and also you're sharing with all of us these data from the United Nations regarding environmental protection for the greenhouse emission. Now it is time for question and answer. First, I have a question from the delegate for Huate, for Cathay. Can you explain what is BCP plant? This is the first question.
BCP plant is a business
contingency plan. Business contingency plan.
Contingency.
If there are any emergency case happen, if for example, the first priority plan cannot work, then we move to a second priority plan and support the supply without any stop and delay.
Okay, thank you. This is the question from two gentlemen. One is from Eric, and the other is from Mr. Zhang. He did not put the company name. Yep, thank you. Let's see, any more questions? Okay, well, waiting to give you some time for our offline delegates to think about it. Sakit, I have one question for you. What do you anticipate to achieve in this joint efforts against COVID-19? Now, since China is okay now, some of the countries now is thinking of releasing the lockdown. And what is the present situation in India now? From what you presented in your PPT, that there's some sign of a slow increase with limited new cases, right? So in this case, surely, however, for this is a crisis not only for one country or two countries, India, China, or in Asian any countries, but this is a worldwide crisis. Then, of course, the first impact for our industry, as you explained, the only gas that we can produce is for medical use, medical gas. The rest of the industrial gases of factories and plants are closed down. But it's a good thing that your government has been follow your suggestion to encourage the industrial gases plant in full operation to support the medical oxygen. So can you share your thought on this cooperation in your country now?
Frank, you see that earlier these cases were doubling up in 4 days. I mean, if for example, earlier when we reached a mark of 1,000 people have been confirmed as COVID-19, within 4 days they would double. So every 4 days they would the people were doubling. But now the cases are doubling in 12 days. That means there is kind of a, is a slow progress, which is good. Earlier on, as I said, it was in 4 days the cases were getting doubled up, and now it's 12 days. Now coming down to another question, for government also it's not easy, because in a country like India, we have a lot of people below the poverty line. There are people who we call daily wagers or daily workers. They earn whatever they, every day they go to the office, and whatever they get, whatever money they get on that day is used to feed their families. So if they don't work, they don't get money. If they work, only then they are able to feed those people. India, so for the government, social distancing is very important. I think because we have a lockdown situation, in comparison, we are still okay as compared to the other nations where there was no lockdown. The government is in a very, they don't know what to do, because they cannot afford also that lockdown. They can't tell people to be inside the homes. What about the poor people? How are they who's going to give them food? For them, the important thing is getting food. And that is a big number in India. If they don't work, they don't get food. So government is concerned about them also. But at the same time, if they open the lockdown, then there might be a case. Then there might be a point where we get more number of people getting affected. So if they open the lockdown, more number of people might, COVID patient, the graph might go up. If they don't, what do they do with the poor people? Who's going to feed them? So it's not going to be an easy decision. But what I feel, government, because the lockdown is going to be till May 3rd, I feel they will extend this lockdown. Industries might not be allowed to open. In some phases, they might allow people, slowly and gradually open some areas, but they won't open the entire country on 3rd May. That doesn't look a possibility. But they might open gradually. But industries, I don't think so.
Thank you.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah. So just one more comment, if you would like to share. As I said, today is this webinar opens a dialogue between China and India, the two countries, two nations of the largest population in the world. And now, do you think that between us, for our industrial players, do you see any possible business opportunities for our Chinese and also Indian players? during this crisis, and also, wow, this is something special in this case.
I would also like to share something that John might be interested to know. You know, the demand of medical oxygen in the country has gone down right now. April 2019, maybe the demand was slightly more than April 2020. The reason is the hospitals have, all the elective surgeries have been postponed. There are no surgeries happening in the country right now, only the emergency ones. So all the surgeries have been, elective surgeries have been deferred. So that means the supply of medical oxygen has gone down. But we are anticipating, in case the numbers go up, at that point of time, it's a proactive measure the government is taking in order to ensure that oxygen reaches everybody. But as of now, the demand for the oxygen is down. Demand for everything is down right now, Frank. So I don't know how. It's not a good time for business.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Then, for our Chinese members, there we are ready. If any help or assistance, we are ready to offer. Thank you again. And now I would like to express my appreciation for our two speakers for their time and efforts and sharing all the information. And also my thanks to all the delegates taking your time to attending this fourth webinar. Then our next webinar is going to be for next month. We're going to focus on the ASEAN market. Now, the specific time and dates we're going to be announced. Please waiting for our invitation. So thank you, our two speakers, Mr. Saki Tiku and Kathy Liu and Jeffrey Zhang. So afterwards, after this, the speakers will go to another separate room for another few more questions. Now, thank you again, dear all the friends. And we will see you again next month. Thank you. Have a good sleep and see you again. Bye now.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sergey.
拜拜。
Okay, bye.
制造是体现一个国家智慧和发展的实力。如果说在工业化时代，钢铁是工业的粮食，如今的信息化时代，芯片就成为工业的粮食。从大数据到云计算，从虚拟现实到人工智能，今天我们的生活已经离不开芯片，它既是现在，也是未来。信息化时代的战争，就是芯片战争，是中国制造向中国制造转型的核心。芯片国产化的进程，背后是特种气体国产化的推动。这场芯片战争的背后，如何实现特种气体的国产化？运用新材料，大幅度提高资源生产效率，让传统工业实现智能化转型，这是中国工业特种气体行业的历史使命，也是广东华特气体公司的企业使命。
我们华特的成立是为了中国从加工大国到加工强国过程中实现中国特种气体国产化的使命，要解决没有中国做不出来的特种气体这一难题，为中国制造行业提供各种特种气体的研发和支持。 为我们现在生活以及未来的世界提供更高效、环保的新能源、新材料。
广东华特气体股份有限公司成立于1999年，前身是南海市华南特种气体研究所，专注特种气体及气体设备的研发、应用与工程业务，打造一站式服务能力，面向全球市场提供气体应用综合解决方案。拥有10多家子公司，近1000名员工，是目前国内的特种气体生产厂家及相关设备供应商之一。
我们公司从成立到今天，最注重的就是科研团队的培养。这20多年来，我们一直专注在特种气体的研发、生产上。我们可以说是中国特种气体国产化的先行者。我们引领着国产特种气体行业的创新、变革和发展。
中国特种气体市场容量非常大，这几年发展也非常迅速。那么从2011年到2018年，对特种气体的需求大约从100个亿增长了180个亿，未来5年还会持续增长，将会突破400亿的市场需求，在全世界范围内大概是2500亿的这么一个市场。今年飞速发展的以光电子和微电子为代表的战略性新兴产业，对特种气体也呈现一个爆发性的需求的。而这些气体呢，过去80%以上都是从日本韩国欧美等国家进口的。在中美贸易战日益加剧的这么一个大背景下面，解决供应链的安全也刻不容缓。这也给以华特气体为代表的国内的气体公司以巨大的历史使命和巨大的历史机遇。
面对全球的市场份额，华特将坚持自主技术创新，大力推动中国特种气体行业的发展，促进高端材料领域气体材料的研发，打造特种气体行业的民族品牌。用华特气体推动中国制造，中国芯片的推动器，期待与你共同见证。